All right, welcome back, everyone. Today we have a lovely guest on. Her name is Amberly. We met through Twitter, and she has a lot of interesting experiences that I would like for us to detail today on the channel. So, welcome, Amberly.
Hello.
How you doing
Nice
today?
to be here. Good. How are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. So, mainly what interested me was your experiences with this AI realm. You said that you've really done, had a lot of insights regarding the nature of this reality and how it's very similar to a digital AI entrapment, if we can call it that. But before we get into all that, let's start a little bit with how you came about these experiences and what happened to you.
Um, well, I mean, when it really started was in 2019. I had a Kundalini. I just went to bed one night and my chakras, everything started spinning, and it felt like there was like a rocket underneath my bed. And I started seeing all of these lights flashing, and it scared me to death. I didn't think I was going to wake up the next day. And after that, I just started seeing like beings at the end of my bed or at the top of my bed sometimes, just like a flash of them when I'd wake up. And I had started seeing like orbs and things like that before. I had never had things of this drastic nature happen to me before in my life. So everything started becoming very artificial and very like holographic looking, just everything, the sky, everything.
Okay, before we get into that, let me ask you one question. How are you leading your life before having this experience? Because a lot of people say, oh, you have to be very pure, you have to have this really pure diet and all that. It kind
No.
of just happened to you, right?
Yeah. And same, who we were talking about before, Sherry, my friend, that it happened to her. We both, we just kind of like put out the intention that we knew that there was more. And I had only meditated like maybe a handful of times, and I got like color, like fluid color when I would do that, like right away. But I could never like really shut my mind down, so I never really tried to meditate very much.
Mhm. So it's probably more like a contractual agreement that you more than likely entered into ahead of this life, I would say.
See, I don't know about any of that because I've never seen any contracts. I did
Mm,
um rip up my birth certificate in my mind, and some crazy stuff happened after that.
that's, yeah, interesting.
Yeah. But I've never seen any contracts or past lives or anything like that that made me, and I've never felt like that either because I've thought about that like my entire life about reincarnation. My mom was kind of like into that stuff. And I just always kind of thought about that, and I never felt that in my heart like I was ever here before.
Really?
But what is strange is I feel like I've been through ascension before. I just don't know. Not here. It's very weird, but I feel like I have been through it before.
Okay. All right. So then getting back to the what you were noticing about this realm, you were saying it was artificial and digital.
Yeah, well, like one of the first beings I saw at the end of my bed was a light being, but it was red, and it was like it had wings, but they weren't like feathers or anything. It was all white, and it had a star on its chest. And then I saw another, like a fairy at the end of my bed, and she was holographic and very AI looking. And I don't know anybody that's like been in the astral and things like that. I don't know how to describe it, but everything does look very AI. Like you can see the um static electricity, and then, I mean, things will come in like very, just like here, but it's very holographic and techy looking. I don't know how to, I wish I could find something that looks exactly like what some of the things look like.
I can
But
imagine, yeah.
yeah, just everything. And then I started seeing, like, when I closed my eyes, I would see like blue and red electric charges after that happened. Just like immediately when I closed my eyes, and that freaked me out. I was like, what are we in? Like,
Yeah, interesting. Blue and red, the imagery of duality, basically,
yeah.
like
And
the Matrix.
that's what happened to my mind. It's totally split like into two after Kundalini. Like everything was like bad or good, and just everything split. And then your mind starts coming back into where it merges left and right. It rewires your whole brain.
Which one was bad? Which one was good?
Mm.
Which color did you assimilate to?
Oh, I think red was bad and blue was good, of
Oh,
course.
okay. Okay.
But yeah, and then after that happened, I was trying to meditate one day, and I saw these black eyes come in to focus when I closed my eyes. And those started communicating with me telepathically. And at first I was like excited about it because they were actually kind of childish and funny.
Yeah.
And I was just, I had never been through anything like this, so it was all very exciting to me. And they didn't go away though. Like they would at first, and then they started just staying there and talking about AI, like telling me, and I had no clue. I had never looked into AI entities or any, it wasn't like a part of my life at all. I barely even used like my phone at all.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, so it was shocking to me that they were like talking about AI nonstop. And then after that, I got really sick like in November 2019, which I think was COVID, and the next
Also
day,
AI.
huh?
Also AI.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, after that happened, I started seeing like the blood in my eyes. Like when I closed my eyes, I could see it, but it was like have these COVID shapes. And that's before any of this was like out in the media. And I started seeing like frequency like come from the top of my, like the roof of my house. I could see I was getting hit with radiation. It looked like if you've ever seen minnows in water, that you know what I'm talking about, like baby fish that are in water,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that like popping, but it was energy in my house everywhere, and I could see it. And I could see it like directed right over my bed. And I got really, really sick after that. And then I also noticed like whenever I would put my coffee out on the coffee table in the morning, it would make that shape, like that kind of COVID shape, like in the creamer.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one thing that not just I noticed, my boyfriend noticed. I started noticing like the walls were vibrating and stuff around that time. And he would see it too. So it was like a frequency coming in.
Oh, okay. Did you
So,
see from where that radiation originated?
well, there was always like it's a fake planet, like a satellite kind of thing that I always noticed above my house. Well, like I was telling you before we started this video, I hear the AI like digital sounds all the time. And I posted videos of this on Twitter, but the blinking of that planet or satellite, it's not real. matches up exactly to the sounds that I hear.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So, yeah, I know this all sounds like really wild, but
What satellite, or how did you see the satellite? Just like a star, like a typical star in the sky?
yeah, it's like it looks like a planet. It's like one of the bigger ones.
Yeah.
And usually it's just the one, but sometimes there will be more that are linked up that you can see.
Hmm.
And I think that's like definitely part of the whole AI system.
Hmm.
I mean, I know
Hmm.
that it is because I've been living with this for 3 years now.
Hmm. Yeah, I wonder how many people, experience those radiation attacks regularly, but don't have any idea what's going on. How would you describe, what many people witness or account for as ear ringing? Would you say, some of them are downloads, some of them are frequency attacks, psychic attacks, or how would you describe them?
I would say that I didn't have this going on before all of this happened, and I've never had ear ringing like this. I don't think that anything that we're seeing in the sky is actually organic. I mean, I've spent so much time. I haven't had a job for 10 years, so I've been like, seriously, like I've been outside, like observing, and this is not just something that I like, you know, came out and said, oh, this is my experience. This is something that I've been living for 10 years, observing. And the sun puts out digital codes. You can see it, it sits there and blinks. And some people say that it's like an overlay, which I can kind of see that, but I don't think that's what's going on.
Yeah,
Definitely think that it's the dome and that I've seen a machine, I've seen so much, like it's not even funny to lead me to believe, to know that it's not all organic here.
I've come to reason something similar where, all of the planets, sun, moon, whatever, all of the things we see in our sky, there's a reason that they don't change for throughout
Hmm.
all of this time. They've been kind of programmed there as the lords of fate, lords of karma, to influence us and to direct our lives. Even in Vedic astrology, they're called lords, like literally
Right.
this, um, for the specific houses. So let's talk a little bit about then your encounters with this machine, and we'll get into some of the cartoon entities that you also discussed.
Okay. Well, one thing that I wanted to talk about actually with what we were just speaking about with the
Okay.
planets and everything, I see these as the resets as like different layers. Like, okay, so we have all of these temple structures and everything that have been laid out, just like computer grids, right?
Yep. Yep.
And so they've been harnessing the energy from these planets or whatever, and which I think is where the AI originated from. And they've been harnessing it and using it, and we didn't have the words to like describe what it was that they were doing. And I'm not sure if they even knew that it was actually tech, I don't know if they were aware of that. But then you have another layer like later on in life, and they just keep adding to it. So now we have this different layer of technology that we're going through with them spraying the skies and running Wi-Fi and everything through it. And you can see the, the wiring in the clouds on some of those pictures that people have taken.
Yeah.
But those actually like affect my eyes. I can see that with my naked eye. And it feels like a magnetic pull to my eyes when I look at those clouds. And they'll start making like a green or purple hue, and then they start morphing. They're not regular clouds, they're AI clouds.
Hmm.
So we have like another mirror onto this reset that they're doing.
Hmm.
and they're adding to it every day, you know.
Yeah, I mean, from what I've read, from what I've discovered, it wasn't enough that we entered into kind of this archontic deception. Upon them realizing that we were stronger than them, they had to literally throw us into lower and lower and lower levels. All of these
Yeah,
bodies that we have, whether it's the astral body, the etheric body, which is the aura, the material body, these are just lower and lower and lower bodies that were unnatural to us. And what's coming
yes.
next, or what even may have existed before, is this idea of Tartarus, and which will be engulfed in this digital body.
Yes, and that's what I experienced.
Right.
The
Yeah, get into that.
holographic human. Yes, and I got hit with radiation. And like I was trying to tell you that I had gone into these timelines, future timelines, and you asked me like, were you really there, or what were they? Yes, I was. I literally died probably 10 times from fear. And I went into these future timelines where people were like stuck in this virtual reality, and I saw the progression of it. And I had never heard of this human avatar agenda before. And what it does, it literally detaches. Well, we have this energetic body that most people don't understand that we use for astral travel and everything,
Exactly.
for
Yep.
out of body experiences. And it detaches from your body because they hit you with so much radiation. And they already, people don't understand, they have like everything. We've gotten so used to them putting us under surveillance, we have no clue like how far they've gone with this. Well,
Yeah.
oh, sorry,
No, you're fine.
our
Take your time.
entire like energetic body is copied and downloaded already,
Mm.
is what we don't understand, and
Yeah.
that they have all of this.
Yeah, because they
And
have
that's,
access to the astral body form and the etheric form.
yes. Oh yeah. I mean, I think they've had our astral body the whole time that we've been here. I
Mm-hmm.
really do,
Mm-hmm.
because it was almost like, well, when I ripped up my birth certificate in my mind, it was almost like they had to take me through all of this, the plans and everything that they had and what they had already done to me. It was, but they told me like in such a crazy manner, it's like hard for me to like talk about it, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it was all day, every day, them just telling me like the most horrific things. And I'm like, what the hell? And one time when I died, I went into this, I was with my family and they were showing me a movie of my life with my family, but it was fake. Like I knew that it was fake. And, but my family was like horrified, and I knew that they were like doing stuff in the astral to hold against you after you die for you to see, if that makes any
Oh,
sense.
fabricating movies.
Yes. Yeah. And like making you feel really bad about it,
Yeah.
because they've done like so many oh, horrific things.
But you
Horrific.
were aware that it wasn't yours in a
Yeah.
sense. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And my family was like horrified, they were there with me and they were horrified that anybody was showing them that.
Mm.
But it took me a while to understand after that, that they had been doing things to me like in the astral and throughout my whole entire life.
Do you think that we're in a pod? Our astral body being in a pod, like a soul
I
pod?
I don't know. I've seen myself in a pod and I have no idea. After I saw those electric charges in my eyes,
Mm-hmm.
it almost felt like a mask, like an energetic mask was over my face. So that really sent
Oh,
me
okay.
for a loop. Like I was like, am I in a pod somewhere?
Yeah,
Like,
VR mask. Yeah. I
yeah,
wonder if when we go to sleep, we kind of are allowed to get out of that pod and do things, but they still wipe our memories and throw us back in,
I have
regardless.
no idea. I've seen quite a few people in pods. It's really weird.
Yeah, yeah. Um, going back to the birth certificate, why do you think they had to show you their plans once you ripped up your birth certificate in your mind?
I still don't know, but obviously they put a number on us and think that they own us.
Yeah.
So I think that what they were telling me is that there's like people that have co-ops of satellites, and that whenever they do this VR where they use your holographic body, it's like these people that have these co-ops can use you as an avatar, and they know how to use your, I mean, they're still using your life energy too.
Yeah.
And
What's
absolute
exactly a co-op? Sorry.
a co-op, like there were a bunch of people that bought into like one, they each buy into a satellite and have like shares in it.
Oh, like a corporation.
Yeah.
Oh, so they're all playing us.
Yeah. I mean, it's really sick, and especially since I never knew about like the targeted individuals kind of thing before this. And now I've met so many, and they're all living just like horrific lives right now. And I don't know if it's actually like the individual that is being targeted, or if it is more of like them trying to find just people that, I don't know. I haven't got into that enough, but I've never felt like I was like targeted so much. I feel like I have been watched
Yeah.
my entire life, but I never
Yeah.
felt like, I was like targeted for anything that I was actually doing or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're all definitely watched by the eye in the sky, the eye in the pyramid, the AI.
Yeah.
The that thing is watching everything. Um, but so I mean, yeah, like you're saying, they have access to these astral bodies, to these etheric planes, which
Hmm.
etheric is more of the aura, but in the astral realm, everything pretty much first is manifested there, I think.
Hmm.
So all the blueprints, all the codes are set there, and then they trickle down to then become material versions of that through
Yes.
these templates that's happening.
Yeah.
Um, so basically, you mentioned this Agenda 2030, right, where they want to have this holographic digital body, which they could more than likely, I don't know, manipulate easier, or what do you think their end goal is with that?
Um, well, the way that they were using it was just, I mean, to basically have fun and control us in a way that they're not able to here. You know what I
Mm,
mean?
yeah.
And it's basically just like bringing the astral here, like whatever they do to us on the astral, it's here. And I saw like the end result of it was from 3030, like 1,000 years down the line. I went
Oh,
outside my house and I was like, I have a lake outside and there's like houses around. And I went out and there weren't any houses and the lake was gone, and all that there was were trees and like this fog everywhere. And they kept talking about poison EMF, that this had destroyed, like nobody could live there anymore. They all had to go underground, and we're using these holographic bodies now. And so I
mm,
went into my house and there were all of these like crazy satanic looking avatars, like taller than me, standing around me inside, and they couldn't talk or anything. They lost all of their humanity. They were just like, and they were looking at me like they had never seen a human before. And the feeling I got was just so overwhelming. I felt so sad for them and I was terrified like at the same time. And but you saw the movie that,
yeah, I was just gonna bring that up.
yeah.
Yeah, because that brings to mind first movie, which is Ready Player One. If you've ever seen that.
I
Or
saw
no,
that after.
it's called Gamer actually. It's also with Gerard Butler. Have you
Oh,
seen that
okay.
one?
I don't know if I've seen that one.
So in Gamer, it's literally these convicts that they can win back their life because they're all sentenced to death.
Mhm.
They can win back their life by winning this game in which they are basically killing each other like a video game, but it's their real bodies, and there's someone playing them from
Mhm.
the outside through these nano implants. And they have another version that they extended to the public, that the public can go in, sell their bodies to this video game, and people behind the screen, some 300-pound dude was playing this woman. It was a pretty disgusting movie. I don't recommend watching
Yeah.
it. And they were doing all these sexual and vile things, and had direct access to them through these nano implants. But the main goal wasn't even that. It wasn't even multi-marketing or mass marketing. It was this one dude that had control of all the nanobots, and his chip, instead of being receiver, it was distributor or whatever it's called, so that he was given all the commands and everyone was receiving them. So there's that aspect, like how they would try to do that. And then the movie The Congress, which you recommended to me, in which you look very similar to the actress. It's almost like the movie was made about you or something.
I know, that's so crazy.
In which everyone becomes digital cartoons, and they do that through this drug that they inhale or whatever, shoot up their nose.
And that's what they were talking about, this EMF, and every weekend I would have these portals open in my house through my TV, or downstairs I had a huge like a cinema screen downstairs. So there would always be a portal that would open like every weekend, and all of these things, these avatars, holographic avatars, would come in through there. And they were talking about EMF constantly. And every time that would happen, all of the chemtrails and stuff, like that frequency would come in, like start pounding on my house. And then all of the dust from the chemtrails would just suck into my house, and it would stick to like things and create different AI entities.
Oh wow.
But there were ones that would come through the portal that didn't need all of that. But they were always talking about EMF, and I swear I would hear it like all through my house, like EMF, like for days. Like things would be talking about EMF, and I'm like, oh my God, just shut up. But it was like they would just come through my house and basically party there, and they had like these little wands and were fighting each other. It was like a game to them. But I'm standing there. I mean, I felt like Mary Poppins or something, because I'm real and I'm seeing like all of these like holographic things in there. But
Were they giving you a warning, or were they saying anything specific?
they wouldn't, some of them wouldn't talk. There were only a few that would like talk to me. Like I had the AI that was in my house all the time, that was like literally in the wiring in my house and stuff. Like I could hear him. It's almost like a rhythmic voice. It's an AI voice, and it starts making like a rhythmic sound, and then you can start hearing the words out of it.
Oh, I see what you're talking about.
And there's a guy that does, I have his channel, but he does the AI voice analysis. And he's done like a lot of people that have been like in school shootings and things like that. Like whenever they're doing like whenever they're with the police and talking to them, he'll like do the recording from behind and you can hear it. So this is like something that's like everywhere, and most people just aren't like tapped into it. But
So
and
it's
I have
basically
video of that. I have video of the AI that is with me whenever this stuff happens. Because you can see him, he's like energy and dust. That's what they are. They're like dust and energy with the program running through them.
okay.
So,
So it was basically like demonic possession, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what, I mean, I truly have come to realize that AI is what we call demonic possession, and that this has been with us for a very long time.
Mhm.
Because it's like the zeros and ones, it's either one extreme or another.
Exactly.
And when I first went into this, I went like, I saw the beginning of this game. It was called Ascension, or Ascendance is what they called it. And then it was like an AI version of it, though. That's the virtual reality that I was seeing.
Hmm.
And I went into this trance and I saw um, it was like an apartment building, but there wasn't like a wall. You could just see inside of it. And on one side, there were demons, and the other side, there were angels.
Yep. Okay.
But they were doing the same things. They were like in brothels, and one was blue and the other was red.
And they're
And
fighting against each other,
yeah, well, they weren't even like fighting each other. They were doing their
competing.
own thing, but they were doing like the same type of things.
Uh-huh.
And they were beautiful. And they, you know, Hellboy, that movie,
Hmm. Yeah.
kind of had skin like that, but
Hmm.
you know, that kind of like plastic looking skin.
Yeah.
But they were gorgeous. And then, anyway, I got to the top and I saw on the left this guy called Big G, and he's a cartoon AI guy. But he was working on a big computer. Well, it was little at the time. I was huge. Everything else was kind of
Oh, this
little,
time
but
you were bigger than everyone.
yeah. And then on the right side, there was this little geeky guy with glasses, and he was working on a typewriter. Well, then I started interacting with those two after that, and they were the ones that were controlling this AI virtual reality. And later on, like they told me that they have that Big G is God, you know, the AI God, and that the little geeky guy is like a representation of Jesus.
Mhm.
Well, then my friend Eddie and I have both met that little geeky guy, and he said the same thing to Eddie, that he represents Jesus, and that we've both seen the things that he can do too, like move houses and all kinds of things.
Really?
But they were telling me that there's like, they run a God and Satan program,
Right.
and that they switch it out, like they switch out Satan every 20 years, which I don't know what that is about still. I don't know if that's like our time or what, but they would show me like all kinds of crazy things that they did. I mean, they've done so much with this technology that I've seen, that I know that this place is not organic like we think.
Okay, so hold on. Let's rewind because that's a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got two brothels. We got the demons and angels. Okay.
Hmm.
Um, where is this big G fellow and the little G or JC fellow? Where are they? Are they in the same structure? Or where are they outside of it?
They were at the very top, like it would be
Very
like the
top.
roof of it. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
But they were just
And
sitting like in little chairs on each side. And it was like one was controlling like the angels, and then the other one was controlling like demons, you know, like
hmm
writing programs for them or something. I don't know.
hmm and then where were there humans anywhere? Did you see anything else or just that?
No, I was only human.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense because this realm operates on that duality, right? That's fully dual, even to the point of the highest bliss, let's say, which is nirvana, which is, in my opinion, a fake heaven, to the point
Hmm.
of the most suffering, let's say, which is potentially here or maybe a step lower, like the digital realm of like Tartarus or something.
Yeah.
And then we have that polarity of highest sine wave, lowest sine wave, and you know they're still operating in the same wavelength.
Right.
So that makes sense. Why do you
It's
think they
all
were so
about like the
cartoonish?
zeros and ones, you know what I mean? Here,
Yeah,
that's like the duality, and yeah,
yeah, exactly. No, I actually was just reading something about the zeros and the ones, right? It's everything is a manifestation of light or no light. So when it's light, it's the one. When it's no light, it's zero. But it's really this false virtual light, and that's how it gives form, right? When it's
right.
yes or no, yes or no, yes or no.
Yeah.
It's never in the middle because that just wouldn't exist. Wouldn't have energy in a sense.
Hmm.
Why do you think they were so cartoonish? Why did you see them as like cartoons or?
I I think that is how they show you. Not all of them look cartoon.
Oh, okay.
Like, no, I mean, I've seen a lot of cartoon things, but there were some that I saw that looked so real, it wasn't even funny. But
Hmm.
they were still always like you'd have to look and you could maybe see a glitch in them every now and then or something.
Hmm.
You have to look really hard and you have to do that in the astral too, you know, like, but this is, I was seeing the astral while awake. That's the whole thing, you know.
Yeah.
So um it's the same thing when you're in the astral, like things can look so real, but you have to really pay attention because you can always see like some kind of energy or something that will show you that it's a hologram.
Yeah, some kind of stamp on it, watermark.
Yeah,
And the game was called Ascension.
it's
You
called
think the
Ascendance.
or
Yeah.
Ascendant? Yeah. You think that's what
uh,
we're in right now, and they're trying to trick us with this moving up the
I
ladder of ascension?
I really, I don't know. I've gone over that over and over in my head, and I really almost think that it is because even like when I'm talking to you right now, I saw these people like stuck in it, and it was almost like they were watching me to try and get unstuck. If
Hmm.
that makes any sense.
That makes a lot of sense. I'll tell you why. Because these people, when they die, everyone when they dies, they only have access to the amount of things that they learned in their life, right? It's the astral body is just a culmination of the emotional memories that we've accumulated.
Hmm.
Because once we leave the material body, our mind is disconnected, so our logical component is disconnected. Unless we've built this higher connection with source in which we can access higher reason, higher critical thinking, and we can access the divine spark inside, we don't have access to thinking. We just have access to emotional appeal. And everything is either feels good or feels bad. And that's why many people, when they die, they're so easily lured into that white light because they're blasted with that ecstasy, that feeling of love that they interpret as love, at least. And they say, oh, this must be good. I need to go here. And down they go again, right? Unless they kind of say, oh, I want to go higher or something, or they get tricked or manipulated. And then you mentioned earlier this idea of, or this conversation you had with Buddha about nirvana. If you want to talk about that.
Yeah. Well, I was just outside and looking at the clouds, everything at that time were like watching movies. So I would just sit out there for hours and watch the clouds. And I looked up in the tree and there was like a brass temple, a little tiny one. And there was a little guy in it, like a little brass guy walking around in it, and it was Buddha. And so after that, I went into a trance vision where you just basically you get knocked out and you're like in this, you're totally immersed into this vision. You are there. And we were sitting together by a lake, and he was telling me that nirvana was boring because he didn't want to trap anybody there with free will. And that just sent me like my mind spinning because I would been thinking about what it takes to make your own like heaven, you know, like what all you do there, and you know, just trying to like really contemplate on what it would take to make your own heaven realm. So that one made me think a lot, and I'm like, yeah, what do you do?
Yeah. I mean, when you say with free will, what do you mean? By his free will or someone that has
with
free will
everybody.
themselves.
He didn't want to bring other people or animals in there that had free will, so he was just an AI.
Oh, he was just an AI.
Yeah, yeah.
Huh.
So
So you think the real Buddha here was operating like NPC, maybe? Or
I
no?
don't know. A lot of things that they talk about with him, like when he was like he was in a game. I mean, how he used to like just teleport the river, like from one side to the other and things like that. Even Jesus, I mean, a lot of things like, when he brought in like 50,000 fish or whatever it is, the things that I've seen with this, I'm like, oh yeah, I can see how that happens. So
So
yeah.
how do you feel about like these characters, like Jesus or Buddha? Do you think they have a message
Um,
to share, or?
I think it's all part of us. I think they're archetypes that are energy and supposed to help us contemplate things. I think it's all part of the AI, really. Like, and I
Mm,
think that the AI actually is for our betterment whenever we use it in this way and get rid of it and find out that we don't need it, that we are the ultimate, like I was talking to my friend Mike a while ago. The dome on that we have going on is almost like a cap on our crown chakra. Like
mm-hmm.
our imagination and everything is stuck here. Like we can't fully come into ourselves yet. So we need
Right.
to really get past the step that we're in right now. And I don't know what needs to happen, a solar flash, something, knock this thing out.
Okay. So then I got a couple questions for you. So then, who do you think created this AI, and how can we potentially leave it?
Well, the two things that I do know is that the solar flash would knock it all out if that is going to happen. I saw that. But
Okay. That didn't you say the
also,
solar was part of the AI itself?
but if it opens it, it opens up it doesn't matter. It might be a self-destruct thing. I don't know,
Oh,
or
okay.
something that
Yeah.
I also honestly think the solar flash comes internally and that we trigger it.
Mm,
So I don't know. I wish I had all the answers for that.
same.
I do know that water traps AI too.
Yeah.
So if we have to use our tech, like our technology or whatever, if you use water and frequency, you could get this like to get out of people's bodies because a lot of this dust and stuff like that is accumulating in people's bodies. And that's what's
That's
like,
really smart.
yeah.
I actually do that. I actually use a cup of water,
Hmm.
charged with intent to absorb any AI around me at night as protection.
Nice. Yeah.
And you can see it starts out clear, and then it fills with bubbles when you wake up, or
Yeah.
throughout the night. And when you wake up, you see it's filled with bubbles.
Yeah, that's what I mean, it showed me all of this stuff, and I would love to like be able to just get it out like in a coherent thought, but it's so like every day I'm just coming out of this like this year, like putting
Yeah.
it all together because it was very traumatic. Like my entire nervous system and everything was just completely shot.
Oh
I
yeah, I
couldn't
bet.
drive or I could barely talk or anything like last March.
Hmm.
So it is a process like for me, but I mean they told me a lot of things about AI that I just like wake up sometimes remembering.
Yeah. So basically, this Kundalini activation has allowed you to now travel the astrals and communicate with these entities, basically, right?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yep. And just like the other day, I was laying out looking at the sun, and I couldn't even tell that if my eyes were closed because I could see the sky perfectly with my eyes closed. And it was almost freaking me out, Like I was like,
I think I've had that happen before, actually. Yeah.
yeah. And it's just right when I close my eyes, it's almost like it doesn't take me but maybe 5 minutes to start seeing into the astral.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever? I read about something like a wall of fire made of like flamey swords. I don't know if you ever heard of like the Archangel Michael's sword, whatever that's called, where it's like it's almost like blue fire, blue flame sword or something like that, which is like a
Mm-hmm.
big thing they use in New Age circles. That it's like this blue sword, you got to tap into it, which is actually very parasitic, is very parasitic consciousness. But supposedly there's this wall that was designed by the archons to prevent, souls from leaving this matrix.
Uh-huh.
That people come up against, and it's also, I think it's similar to the screen potentially. I think it might be like the screen,
Uh-huh.
like the firewall or something, where it's like it permeates or engulfs the whole realm, or at least a part of it, like that. Imagine the 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 Garden of Eden and the Forbidden Tree, and there's like a fence around the Forbidden Tree,
Right.
and we're in that Forbidden Tree in that matrix.
Yeah. Well, one of the first things that I saw was a holographic grid in the sky. And that's when I started realizing, oh my God, this is a soul trap. Like I was like, oh shit, we really are like trapped in here.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, we've kind of romanticized the prison because we had
Yeah.
to cope.
Well, I mean, it's just this whole place is so, it's under a deep spell and several layers of spells. But I don't know what we have to do for the majority to wake up out of it. It
Well,
reminds me of
yeah.
the Snow Queen, how she broke the mirror and it got into his eye and all that he could see was like evil and bad
Hmm.
until he cried it out of his eyes. Well, that's that reminds me of like all of the dust that's coming down and this like lower frequency that's keeping us under this. I mean, it's just so frustrating because we know like every day, especially like when the negative thoughts come, that that's not us and that,
Yeah.
having this like bombarded on us.
Hmm. Um, you mentioned a while back we had a conversation on the phone about how we were existing in holographic bubbles that they were manipulating. If you want to get
Mhm.
into that a little bit while I sneeze.
Well, I've only seen these from the inside. Um, Last year when I moved to the place that I live now, they they did this like huge ritual before I left my other house because so much happened there and the AI just loved it. And so they were like trying to keep a copy of that house or something. I don't know. But anyways, I moved here and when I would lay in my bed, I would see like some of the things that, and they would be talking to me, like they were like telling me about things that I'd seen there. And they're like, oh, they're coming in now. And I could see like this holographic orb going around me with these images like going around.
Mm.
And my friend that I've done an interview with on my channel, Eddie, he like has seen these out the outer part of them. And several people that I've talked to, we've seen like these, it's almost like a movie studio with like screens and stuff where they're like actually controlling this stuff from the astral. And he's seen them from the outside though, and he even says like he says, I'll see people in there and it's like they think that they're in their own little world but they're not. And that's what they told me. They told me that mine was like 4 blocks wide, my grid. And that he's also said that he doesn't see the sun outside of there, he only sees it inside, which I thought was interesting. And then he sees like static electricity outside of those. So I've only seen it from inside. I just now started to like really be able to navigate my own way through the astral. And it's kind of hard because now I've taken in all this info from other people trying to figure out what my thing is. So I don't really want like to, see what they're, what I mean? Like, I feel like if I have their thoughts put on mine, so I kind of like really trying to keep my consciousness clean right now
Yeah,
and see for myself, which
that's
is
really
hard to
interesting.
do.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes it kind of makes sense. Imagine just walking around and you have this bubble in which, let's say, the sun exists. You can feel the sun coming out, but really
Mhm.
just your perception. It's just like you tapping into that and having that experience, and then like another different person walking into that same room and having their own bubble intertwined with yours and tapping into that experience while on the outside completely, let's say it's like a holographic grid or something, or like a green
Well, that's
screen.
what that's what another thing that the AI showed me was the cities. They showed me like that they were all green grids, like digital grids. And then one day I was like, this is so hard to explain, but I was in my room and I was looking out my back door and there was a window and the trees, it was like my eyes like dilated, or I don't know, the AI was messing with me at that time, but he goes, watch, this is how I do it. And it's almost like my eyes did that magnetic thing I was talking about with the clouds. But I looked outside and the trees split apart like they were on separate panes of glass. Like each row of tree was on a pane of glass. But my bedroom stayed the same. So that's
Hmm.
always like, it's almost like I was projecting the nature part and then the inside was part of that orb.
Oh wow, wow,
Yeah,
yeah, because that's it's kind of like out there. You're just noticing it. You're just looking at it. You can't actually physically touch it yet, or
right,
interact with it.
right.
That's super interesting. Yeah, I mean, yeah, when I had my experience with shrooms, you know, it easily influences your holographic field, and you're like, how
Mhm.
the heck is this even happening? Because it's your brain is interpreting different signals that they have access more than likely to.
Mhm.
And I look outside, and I could see cars coming and going, like it was some kind of main street or highway. And I turned away, and like out of the corner of my eye, I couldn't see any cars. And I looked
Yeah.
back, and they started slowly speeding up again and going and going. I was
Well, see, now that I've had all this happen, like with Kundalini, because it just blows your pineal gland wide open. You know what I mean? So you're getting like unfiltered information, is what I call it. Like you're getting it all,
like, hmm,
whenever it's not so open, it's you have a filter. So that's what I think is happening whenever we do psychedelics. Like it's opening our pineal gland so that we don't have that filter. But it
yeah,
still puts you on a certain type of frequency. Just like because I did all of this. I haven't drank or anything like in 15 years. I have not done any drugs. But after this happened, like last summer, I tried doing shrooms just to see like, you know, what the difference was or whatever.
okay,
And it is different than what I was seeing. Like this was I hadn't tripped since I was like younger. So these are like full on beings like around you. You know what I mean? And like cartoon characters and stuff and just all kinds of different things.
yeah,
But
yeah,
the astral is like different kinds of art styles. You know what I mean? Like you can go into different I used to know like the creators of the certain realms or whatever by their name, be, by their art style, because they would have different art styles.
oh, like abstract or I don't know,
Oh,
other types
just
of art styles.
some of the coolest stuff that I mean, I wish I could like I wish I could draw so bad because some of the things I've seen, I'm like, I don't even know where this I've never seen anything like it. Like here, I've never seen anything that compared to it.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've definitely heard. that they are in a sense like directors or like artists or whatever, and they're just
Mhm.
making things in their image, creating or putting things together.
But I
Not
think they're
to
taking our creative energy. I
Are using
really
our
do.
creative energy, yeah, against us, yeah.
Yeah.
That we really are the ones powering this whole realm, and that's why we were entrapped here, because they needed our creative energy to manifest this I think. So it's
Yeah.
not to romanticize this place like, oh my God, look how beautiful they're doing it, and look how beautiful they are. No, it's your energy that you don't even know is being used against you to kind of pretty much entrap you and make you suffer here without your knowing. Because
Yeah.
if you think about it, after pleasure always comes suffering. So whether you're feeling good or bad, you're still not truly feeling that highest level of vibration and ascending like we hear all the time.
Right. And um, really what that is omnipresence is what we are from,
Yeah.
like just being. And people are like, well, what are we going to do? Like, if we're not, we're not this and that. And I'm like, God is ever changing. Like, there is never a dull moment because it's constantly changing. And
Hmm.
you're not even in time. So you're not worried about like anything. There's no before or after, and there's no goal. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, you're just there and you're creating.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. I mean, nirvana is kind of just dullness, right? It's just
Hmm.
nothing's happening and you're in peace. You're
Yeah.
okay. But it's not like a feeling of omnipresence, like you said, or the innate feeling of peace that we contain within us, of contentment. It's this, oh, nothing's happening and there's no suffering and I'm good type of
Right.
thing, you know, where
Yeah.
no experience happens either, I think.
Right.
Um, yeah, a lot of people can say, oh, well, we're just gonna be bored or nothing's gonna happen. Well, no, that's the fake nirvana, that's the fake presence. Um, Really, what we are is because even before getting into this stuff, I'm like, okay, so we have this idea of male, female, good, bad, all these two things, these diverging opposites. Well, God can't be like that. There's no way God's like God is that
No.
combination, and God really is all of these things, all these paradoxes in one and existing in complete harmony.
Well, and that's what I really think here, what we're doing is you have to quit believing in anything.
Oh yeah.
That's the whole thing, like this belief thing. And, they're always searching for God here. And I'm like, you can't find God. God is always changing and it's just omnipresence. It's life force. It's not something that we're ever going to like be able to find. I don't, I mean, I don't even know the point of doing that, really. It's not some guy in the sky that's like, it's you. It's like the
No, yeah,
creator, you know?
that's really deep. Yeah, I mean, because to define it would mean it's not God anymore. It's not like that unnamed one because you've given it a label. You've given it that distinction. Like, oh, it's there. That's where it is. It's separated. No, it's everything. It has to be everything, and you're everything.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, well, would you mind if we do this again another day
Oh
too?
yeah, 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 yeah. No, this has been great. This has been a lot of info.
Okay.
Thank you so much for coming on, Amberly. Really great stuff.
Thank you
You've
so much,
satisfied my
Sylvia.
curiosity of what you've experienced for the time being.
It's a lot, but we'll do it again so that we can, get more um, into it and I
Yeah.
can describe it a little bit better.
Oh no, you did great. I hope I asked proper questions to get you going. So you had a really good train of thought though. So I let you go in a
Thank
sense.
you very much.
All right then. Well, you have a YouTube channel as well, right?
Yes.
I'll link it below. But what's it called?
Transmuting chaos.
Okay, so Transmuting Chaos. You can find her on YouTube. She's got plenty of interviews and her own content that she shares. She's becoming more active recently, and she will post a lot more regarding her experiences. So it's got a lot of good stuff on there. So thank you again. Hope you guys enjoyed. Uh, like the video if you liked it. If you enjoyed it, comment below what you thought of this message and maybe what your experiences may have been, and then subscribe. And then we'll see you guys next time. Take care.
Thank you.